Welcome, welcome. Ah, geez. Every time I start these videos, I feel like I don't know what to say. Like, let's get into the next video. Boring, boring, boring. So I'm gonna have to come up with some intro. I think. Don't know what to do yet though. But yeah. So finished Lesza. I'm not real good at pronouncing the Polish stuff. It's cool language, but I just can't do it. But yeah, so here she is. I've been posting the daily updates on Instagram. I don't think anyone really was seeing them on YouTube. If you were seeing them on YouTube, I apologise for not following through with them there. Let me know in the comments, and I'll make sure I do better in the future. So mostly pretty happy about how this one turned out. I was following along with the artwork, which you will have seen if you've seen my posts on here or in Instagram. But I'll also include an image over to the right here, so that you can get a quick little comparison. It was good because it actually had some elements that I usually like to work with already in the artwork. It was kind of like a good light sample source and some good colors because it had all the cold elements up in the face and the focal point, and then sort of moves out to the warm and the red, so cold to red, and that was something that I was happy to work with. And anyone who's watched videos of my work before will know that it's something that I try to work into things. And then there's like the value and saturation changes as well. Saturation isn't such a big deal in this one. I mean, I did the same thing that I did with the Black Templar. To be fair, it's desaturated at the focal point and more saturated down at here, but I didn't want to go too far because I knew that this was going to be quite busy with the plant and the base that it comes with and all the leaves. I'll turn her around. The cloak was something, it took a few hours to paint, but it came together quite fast in comparison to the rest of the stuff. But I think it's come out real nice. For how dark it is, you see that satin, that sort of almost satin finish. It's not really a satin finish. It's meant to be just a matte. It's just not ultra matte. So it's not really, really shiny. It's just shiny enough to give it a sort of a silky feel to the cloak, and I quite like that. And when we get off angle into the shadows, it's not shining as much anymore. So it does come from the paint and the painted colour, as well as the varnish, I suppose. So both of them combined give it a really nice look. We come to the worst angle of the mini, this one here. Thankfully, yeah, the legs have worked well, and they become the focal point from this angle. I mean, there's not really a focal point there, What are you looking at? I suppose this rim light over here, but it's all dark. This is the worst angle on this mini. It's not that bad, but it still goes into that issue of always when you get this kind of like drastic, like heavy transition from very light to dark, you're gonna have trouble with certain angles that are like, oh my golly gosh, the camera is going nuts on the focus. Why is this model causing so many problems with focus? I'm sorry about that. There was a big risk on this model with the dark, leaving such dark shadows around her eyes. I haven't done that before. I think it's not as dark as the artwork was, but it's still pretty dark, and I think it works quite well. And considering that the widest, brightest point in the model are those two dots on her eyes, I think it works pretty well. It's hard to get a good capture with the camera and the video of this. I feel like it looks better in hand. Then you can see here in the render there was this rim light on the legs. I've tried to achieve that without going quite to the level of white that the render probably had shining over here. I've tried to keep it sort of within the reds. But if you look at that, if I really tilt the reflection up, you can see it's quite shiny. It's a bit satin. That's an angle that I feel like not many people will look at, even though I'm deliberately showing it. And because of that extra shine, it bounces more light at you when it's on the off angle, so it gives more of the rim light. And I'm more than happy to sacrifice this cruddo angle for the sake of having that extra nice rim light there. Then with the base, I used the resin base that came with the model, and then I built up this extra dirt around it to make it a circle and fit onto this nice big plinth that she's sort of like really sitting up there in the middle, in the center of the scene. She's really like, it's nice when it's just sitting there looking at it. I haven't used anything this big and round before. I think it works quite well for this model. It's a standout piece, I think, when you put it next to other stuff because of that big, but not oversized and not overpowering. At least I hope it's not overpowering. All of these different colors in the leaves. I was worried, like while I was painting it, I was really worried that it was just going to be like, it's just dirt and leaves. It's quite basic, but I think the amount of time I spent working on all those damn leaves, oh God. I'm in a funny mood today, I certainly am. Must be overtired, I think that's probably it. So I'm compensating. All these leaves, they took a long time and that was tiring. That was a day's worth of painting just on the base, and I think it was worth it. I hope you think it was worth it as well. Then you've got all these little details. I love this part of the sculpt, like all these little details around her, the fireflies and the straps and the bark on her leg and the leaves. All of these little details, they're really, really nice. I love stuff like this in 3D sculpted models, which is so hard to do by hand. And then, when you're painting these, anyone who's going to paint this model, be aware that it's tricky to keep these clean. Like if you look closely at some of my photos, you can see it's not perfect. And who can do it perfect? These tiny things, like the tip of the brush is almost the same size as the straps, so it's tricky, but it's clean enough to look pretty good. You've got like these reflective metal parts. They were fun to paint, came across well. I think the NMM comes across well enough, even though it's quite simple. It's just dot, 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 and, well, not dots, but like little bits of rim. It just goes from, very dark to, boom, very light. And that's the trick of NMM, just from dark to light really quickly. Then I've got some mushrooms and these blue dots. I put them on at the end just as a verdigris type of thing. I actually quite like them. I don't know if that's the way moss works. I think I've seen like blue moss like that on trees, so I figure it's okay to do it. I actually quite like them. They're like nice little features to the base, add a little bit of extra colour. It's all warm down there except for this little guy, and the mushrooms have some purple and a little, but not a lot of blue. And the fireflies, I don't love being forced into OSL with sculpts, but those are These are actually nice and small, and all you need to do is put a tiny little bit of orange glowing around them, and then do some yellow up to white dots, almost white dots at the end, because I didn't want them to be brighter than the dots in her eyes, even though they should be. They probably look that way in the photos. What else is there? I'll give her one more turn around. I was intending to try and find a way to hold the red grass handle, and maybe a Space Marine will work for that. But this big one's not going to mount on the red grass handle, so unfortunately I have to hold it in my hands, and it has to be shaking around a lot. I hope it's been clear enough. That bit with the camera like zooming in and out, I was probably holding it too close. That was probably the problem. Oh, well, we live and learn. If anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.